Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Something to Scream About. Today, we've got another very awesome guest. We've got Mel Thompson joining us. She's a touring aficionado, or tour manager, I should say. And she works in lighting as well, doing lighting for bands on tour. And all sorts of other things, even delving into things like photography and merch and stuff like that. So awesome to get another insider who can tell us a little bit more about different sides of the industry that we're not used to hearing from. So that's another really cool insight we're about to get. It's just me on my own again today. Obviously, Cam is still doing father duties. So, we want to congratulate him on behalf of the band. Him and his partner Zoe on a beautiful little boy. So I'll let him talk about that a little bit more in the podcast. But we're super excited for him. He'll be back soon. As for housekeeping with Distorted Views, this month we've got, a new release due out this Friday. So you'll be hearing this Wednesday, I presume the 1st of March. So in 2 days' time, if you're listening to this live, then our new release Catalyst will be hitting streaming services worldwide. So another exciting release for us. We've been trying to push out some of this music, as you've heard, for the last couple of months. So it's cool to see this one finally come out into the public eye. Give us a bit of a feedback on these tracks and whether you're liking them. All the behind the scenes content is still rolling out on YouTube, so make sure you're hitting that up. Otherwise, please send us some ideas. We're always keen to listen to fans and work out what you guys want to see from us and try and build it from there. So without further ado, Zach and I sat down earlier this month to chat with Mel. I'll turn over to that, and you'll be able to see us, hopefully, finding out some good information from Mel. Enjoy the conversation, guys.
Something to scream about.
Great. So here we have Mel Thompson. We've got a special guest who's involved with touring with a lot of cool bands. Zach, you know Mel personally from before all this, so maybe you might be better off sort of first introing Mel and bringing her onto the podcast.
So Mel, this is Mel, everyone.
Welcome.
She does obviously touring, lighting, occasionally merch. I think you hit me up not too long ago about a vocal cover I did with Alpha Wolf, I believe.
Repping the Alpha Wolf shirt.
And then we just kind of chatted a little bit. Yes, I love that Alpha Wolf shirt. It's one of my favorites. We just generally chatted for a bit, and then I found out you did all that stuff. And then I think I saw you in Melbourne for a bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Brisbane?
so you're in Melbourne, eh? So that's right. That's where you're based?
Yeah. I moved April last year.
Cool. From here, from Queensland?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
Zach and I have a lot of mutuals.
I see.
Shout
So
out.
way back. We go way back.
We go way back.
No, I said Rewa. Shout out Rewa.
Oh, yeah, Rewa.
Okay. Shout
Love
out.
that shit.
Shout out. All right. That's brilliant. Really awesome to have you on because I think one of the perspectives that we've been missing so far in terms of like having a look into the industry is the touring side of things, but not from a band perspective. Somebody that's running, like helping to run the tours, organize the tours and this kind of thing. So do you want to like maybe do yourself a little bit of an intro about who you are and kind of what sort of stuff you're involved in the industry?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I started all this in 2018. And I was wanting to do tour management, which kind of like it did kick off back in 2019. But then I got into the lighting as well because I was like, if I want to be a useful TM, I want to do a lot of roles that are going to be useful for the band to help them save money with like if they can't afford the extra crew. So I kind of got into the lighting as well. And it started, I did like an intern tour with a band called Alien Weaponry. They're from New Zealand. They were like 16 years old at the time when I toured with them. And they were touring like Europe and they played Varkenfest and they're doing massive things right now. It's fucking
insane.
crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's sick.
Can I swear?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
of course.
course.
I'm so sorry.
No, we
Um,
all do.
okay,
We always
good.
swear on here.
Yeah, sick. Okay. And then I hit up Gravemind and did a lot of work with them before the pandemic happened. So I would be their tour manager, do their lighting, do their merch, try to drive as much as I could. And then I would pick up work from the other supports. So I think the first one we did was with Make Them Suffer. And
Cool.
I did lights for, yeah, it was really sick. I did lights for After the Burial and Savior as well. Just like I picked it up on the road. I didn't organize it beforehand.
Yeah. So is this like, are you in currently tour managing for that tour, or were you simply just doing lights?
I was tour managing.
Cool.
And then I was like, before the tour, we were like, look, I can do the lights for you guys. I know the set. I may as well, do whatever I can on tour to help as much as I can for Gravemind.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wanted to do a lot. I wanted to get more experience and practice in. So I was like, I'll do your merch as well. And they were very, very great with it because obviously it's quite exhausting doing a lot of different roles and running back and forth all night. So they were very supportive and took very good care of me as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, totally. I think that's like super important. Sorry to interrupt. We were speaking to Ben from Third Eye Visuals. And he was mentioning the same thing about how like everyone just sort of chips in on tour and like and he said make yourself more useful. I think that's kind of like to a band, that's like music to their ears. You're going like someone that wants to do this and take more work off our hands. Like, why wouldn't we want to look after somebody like that? So, like, I think from their perspective, they're probably super happy to see you putting your hand up for all these kind of things. I've got like so many questions already from what you've already said, but keep going because I'll jump back to it in a bit.
Well, that's pretty much it for the start. Like I mainly just worked for Gravemind and then like for touring with Gravemind and doing shows and stuff on the side. So like Brisbane shows, things like that, like with Vale of Maya and all that. I think when they came with Dance Gavin Dance, that was 2019. I was still very fresh with lighting and I can't remember the support band that opened, but I was already doing their lights and I rocked up and I was just like hitting up these huge bands that I love, like Vale of Maya and stuff. I was talking to Marcus and I was like, oh, do you have anyone doing your lights? And we kind of like it just happened. Like it was crazy for me to even do that at that stage, like big bands like that. But yeah, you just got to ask and
so you were just doing a lot of networking.
Yeah.
For the most part, like just getting your hand out there, just asking, do you want this to be done? That's awesome. Like I've done that a little bit recently, just with like trying to get support acts for the band. Not too much, but some don't reply, some reply. It's just like amazing what you can do if you just ask, and not try and seem too needy.
Yeah, well, it's like half the time I don't even ask. I just show that I'm there and have a chat. And then like more often than not, they don't often have people organize, especially like the internationals, because it's so expensive to bring people over. And like you just never know when they need someone for a role. Like even sound like if they're just using house, but they might prefer someone that knows their music better. Photographers, things like that. Like you just put yourself out there. Yeah.
And you're getting into photography now, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm trying to when I can.
And more strings to your bow, really.
But that's even more like even if it's amateur photography, it's still something that they might not have. So you've got like 3 things or 4 things that you're really good at, and that would just be really useful for a band. So it's awesome.
That's wicked. It's putting yourself like in the position to succeed, really. So like there's these things that you're really interested in and you like these bands. So you go out there and you just start sort of learning and just being like, hey, I'd love to do this, love to do that, and putting yourself in positions to like welcome these opportunities. That's really,
Yeah.
really wicked. I think like let's break it down into like different sections. So if we start with kind of your maybe lighting side of things. So you said you kind of picked it up along the way, and all of these bands that are touring and stuff, a lot of them will have, when they're in their home countries, they'll probably have somebody that they tour with that knows their set and can program the lights maybe to the music and things like this. Are you doing stuff that's like more programmed, or are you given kind of like, hey, hit the strobe on this, or are you just kind of free like DJ mixing, so to speak, the lighting desk? Like what's the go there?
At the moment, I really, really enjoy just busking it. There's a few bands that I work for example, Justice for the Damned, where they don't use any clicks. So if I'm sometimes I'll be on ears with the clicks, but otherwise with Justice, I don't have any indication of like when songs are going to start, what's going to happen, like if the tempo is changing for a live show versus like Spotify or recorded. So I do really enjoy busking, which is pretty much just mashing the buttons in time with the music. So at shows or on tour, every night I would learn a whole new desk and a whole new setup because it's different lighting, there's different buttons, and different consoles, so it's quite hard to kind of know how to program on all of the different consoles. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to actually just kind of think about what you're going to do at the time that it's happening, and then you do it, and then something incredible happens. You're like, holy shit, that was sick.
I totally agree. From my experience in the sort of the nightclubs and DJs and stuff like this, when they have, like you say, guys that come in and they're just sort of playing a set and they're mixing on the fly. So the lighting guys are reacting to what's going on in the music and trying to generate this vibe for the whole crowd. And as you say, with people like, you know, DJs are beat matched, so it's pretty easy to fucking hear where the beat is. But like with a band that's like changing BPMs, and then like they might be interacting with the crowd or something like this,
and no click,
yeah, exactly. Then you are reacting live in the room, and then you can generate something from that, which I think is really sick. The program stuff for me, if I was a lighting person, the program stuff is sick because you get exactly what you need at the right time, but the show's always the same, and then there's no creativity from your part. Like it's kind of taken out of your hands. So, you know, yes, you get it all sick. It's like goes off at the right time, but there's no you in that initial like show, and there's no difference between show after show, which sometimes is good, sometimes maybe not. Yeah. So that's awesome.
In terms of like program, I think you're talking about time coding, where you pretty much create it before the show, and you with big shows that use time coding, you can't really, like, you can busk it, you can do it on the fly, but there's, when you've got like a floor package, so extra lights plus all the other fixtures that are in the venue, it's really hard to kind of use everything. So that's why time coding is really, really good, because you already have it set up and you can add in extra stuff as well. So I'm not sure if many people know that, but when I watch people like Luke Thiel and Luke Dorwood, who are both amazing LDs, they will like time code it and, you know, create the show how they want and how the band wants, and organize all of that, but then they'll add extras in on the night. So they maybe might do blinders or strobes or change things and all that. So they're, as much as it is already pre-planned and pre-organized, they aren't just like pressing play and sitting there and watching. They are like constantly, you know, fixing things that might be wrong, or adding in extras and changing stuff. Like sometimes when you're doing sound check or checking the lights and stuff, it's going to look different with all the house lights on versus when they're off. So it's like, oh, a color isn't coming through, or the haze, like through the haze, or like sometimes LED screens wash out a lot of colors. So yeah, it's really really sick. And when they are doing massive shows like that and bringing extras, which I haven't done yet, you can really really appreciate like all the extra work that goes into it, and why they do need a time code.
Yeah,
um
that's really cool because it basically
yeah.
helps you like have 8 arms or something to play all these things at
Yeah.
once, and then you say, if these extras, you might be able to in the strobe sequence, like when the strobes are triggered, you could trigger like a totally different light or something that's an extra to go off at the
Yeah.
same time, which is not normally part of the set, and that's, I suppose, where
Yeah.
that creativity comes in for these guys. But that's really cool. I could
Yeah.
I could dive into
Jordan
all
could
of
go
that.
on for
I
hours
could go
about
on
it.
for hours about this kind of stuff.
So I obviously saw you on Cult Fest. Were you on
Yes.
lights at Cult Fest?
I did 8 out of the 9 bands. So Luke
Far out.
Dorwood actually, yeah, Luke Dorwood did Alpha Wolf, and
Yeah.
he had like a massive floor package with that, and it was sick. But
Yeah.
yeah, so he was very, very kind enough to create a show file for me, which is just a separate file to what he uses with just the house lights. So he created things that I asked for, like I don't know, like different types of effects and like an odd and even flash and stuff like that. So we pretty much worked together for him to program what I wanted on his own console that he brings. He uses Kansas, if you know what that is.
I
Probably
don't,
not.
but it sounds awesome.
Kansas is great. But yeah, he pretty much created a page for me to use the way I wanted it, and then because I was comfortable with that and it had everything that I enjoyed using, I was able to very very easily operate lights for 8 bands. And obviously, like, I'm not always gonna know every single song and every single cue, but
Yeah.
it was because of the way it was set up. It was very easy for me to think, oh, I feel like this is gonna happen, so I'm gonna do this, and then
Yeah.
it does, and it's just super smooth.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Yeah,
Mm.
that was a really busy day, so you would have been pretty exhausted doing all of that all day. But,
Yeah, I can imagine it's very busy. It's like
Yeah.
you're running around organizing all these different jobs for
Like,
different bands.
people don't see that it's not just standing around at a machine or
Yeah.
cab or whatever. Like, there's a lot going on. Yeah, it's very sophisticated, and you kind of have to pay attention to not just the set, but your program as well and what's going on there, because I'm assuming that can mess up at any stage. So
Yeah. Sometimes I'll usually listen to the set list like heaps in advance, and sometimes there'll be extra stuff that happens in a song that's like not in Spotify.
Yeah.
Void of Vision have I think it's in The Lonely People, where they have before like the breakdown, there's like 2 counts of 4 or something, but then they changed it so there's 4 counts of 4. Stuff like that really helps to know. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm gonna strobe at the wrong time, which they did tell me. That was great. It was sick. So they're very good at like telling me
good
what's gonna
communication
happen.
with
Yeah.
their bands as well, so that's handy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short stack, however, I didn't get any notice of what was gonna happen, and there were quite a few like changes in their set. Or there'll be like a cover of a song. Something happened at Unify where I think Red Hook covered My Chemical Romance or something. I don't know. I'm probably getting it wrong, but someone, or Wax, maybe it was Wax. Wax covered something. I didn't know it was in the set. Thank God I knew the song. But there's stuff like that happens that can be a little bit like daunting. It's like, oh shit, I'm not prepared for this. But
Yeah.
when you do it for a while, you can hear what's going to happen and you can see what's going to happen. If I'm not on clicks, I'll usually just watch the drummer because
Damn straight.
Yeah. because like it's a very easy beat to follow, and you can obviously see when something's about to hit. So like for Justice, for their intro on their tour that I did, I think it started when they were on the Polaris tour. So Bobby wanted like complete blackout for the walk on, and then they would walk on, and then there'd be no obviously like no backing tracks, no music, they would all kind of gather around Chaz, the drummer, and then all of a sudden he would just like come down and hit the drums and they'd all play at the same time. So they would watch him. And then Bobby wanted like big lights to come on, which is sick. So every night I'm just sitting there waiting, trying to look at Chaz in pitch black while he's surrounded by 4 other dudes. And it was like terrifying because I didn't want to miss the cue. But it was so sick.
I was there, I think. Was that before COVID? Just before? Or was that after?
No. This was after. This was last year at the Tivoli.
Yeah, I was there.
With Mirrors and Apple?
Yeah.
That
was the first time I saw Mirrors, yeah. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, that's sick.
That was awesome.
Yeah, drummers are important for LDs and for everyone.
100%.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just not Jordan.
Yeah, that's cool. Can I touch on like tour managing, so TM job a little bit? Let's go kind of like, how did you first get into it? And then more so like what sort of roles, apart from the obvious of booking venues, talking to, this type of thing, organizing travel arrangements, like what's your scope in terms of like a TM from what you do and your perspective? And then, how did you get into it?
I did a Bachelor of Entertainment Business Management. So I kind of discovered the organization side of things. That was more for planning tours and stuff, which a TM doesn't really do. But I felt like it was a waste of time because everything that I know now I didn't learn from uni. But I was like, cool. So tour manager is a role. Sick. That sounds interesting. So I kind of like networked my way to figure out what it involved and if I like it. So when I hit up Gravemind, I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. This is what I can do. Let me know what I can do for you guys. And they were very happy with that. So I literally just winged it. And they knew that. I was very, very transparent. Like, I'm not going to go into a role being like, yeah, I can guitar tech and then just not know how to restring the guitar. So, it was sick. I kind of, like, I had a big chat with them, like, what do you guys need me to do? Obviously, it's my first time. So with that, because they were supports, it's very, like, TMing is very different if you're just a support TM versus a headliner, which I haven't done yet. But I helped them organize accommodation. A lot of it was like people's houses, some Airbnbs, things like flights and vans and stuff. So there was a lot of pre-planning. I had like a massive spreadsheet, kind of like tour itinerary as well, like how long it's going to take to drive somewhere, including stops and distances from venues and accommodation and all that. I pre-planned a lot of that stuff for their tours. And then on the actual tour, it's just a matter of, get up, shower, we need to go.
Keeping everyone on track, hey.
Yeah. And then just simple things like, the Wi-Fi password for the venue, organizing riders, sound checks, like when you're going on. I worked for Spite this year, last month, and I was just doing their lights and their merch. However, there was, because they're obviously from overseas, I think it was their first time, besides Baby J. I think he's been here before, I can't remember. But yeah, that was their first time here. Maybe it was their second. I can't remember. Regardless.
I don't think Spike's come to Australia yet. But maybe Josh from his old band, Amur.
Yeah, I feel like he's been here with Amur. I can't keep up.
Right.
Maybe.
I don't think Jordan knows who
I know Amur.
Josh is.
I know Amur.
You don't know Spite?
Yeah. I don't know Spite.
Jordan doesn't listen to deathcore.
No, I'm sort of I'm a little bit soft around the edges, I'll be honest. So, like, I don't know if you can kind of get this kind of reggae vibe that I give off a little bit. It's more so, it's not as as Zach is. That's cool. Like having that kind of like that overview of the TM side of thing is cool. Like I used to book DJs tours, but it's very simple. They have a USB and a pair of headphones, and you just need to get them a flight and a hotel, and like same sort of like nitty bits of Wi-Fi's and things like this. But I didn't have to tour with them. I just send them on their merry way, and off they go. They're quite happy to be on their own. When you've got a band and you've got all of this equipment and stuff, sometimes you've got to work out whether you're flying equipment or you're driving equipment, or you're, like there's so much money and people going with a tour. It's like so much more to organize. So I imagine, with trying to organize costs, it must be difficult. Like, are you doing budgets as well for the tour? Like you're trying to keep it under a certain amount, or like, do they give you a budget and you kind of go, this is what I can do for that? Or how does that work?
Yeah. So with Gravemind, I did work on budgets and stuff. They obviously get their guarantee like per show and everything. And then I think we kind of did like an estimate of how much merch we had to sell to cover the expenses and stuff like that. They don't really give me a budget. They're kind of like just cheap as possible, get the early flight if you have to. And cheap bands and stuff. Like as long as it's all booked early enough, you can get it pretty cheap. I don't know about now though, because everything's so expensive now, but it was pretty good back in the day. Obviously there's always going to be losses and stuff with, touring bands and sports and whatnot. But definitely worked on the budget and hustled for merch as well, because they make most of their money through merch if their supports. With a headliner, they obviously get like, I don't know, ticket sales and stuff like that. But merch is the main one that we really needed to hustle and push. Yeah,
for sure. And then like with equipment, you're touring, say if they're like you've got a headliner and two supports, are you taking 3 drum kits, like 3 cabs for the guitarist and all their guitars, and like there must be a huge, like I'm picturing semi trailers and things like this. Like is it like that intense, or is it kind of like just small vans and kind of use the venue gear and swap in and out of stuff and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so the headliner TM will organize a lot of that stuff, like what the venue has and things like that, or production manager or whoever it is, depending on the size of the tour. The headliner will usually have their own kit, like the full kit, and then the supports would usually share a kit. So they'll organize it between themselves, what they need, rather than bringing like 3 kits, which you don't need.
Exactly.
But a lot of it's shared, because if you have to fly all that gear and drive it, like the van is going to be stacked and it's very uncomfortable. But yeah, a lot of it's shared, which is good.
Yeah, cool. No, I thought so. I just, you see, massive bands on their documentaries with like 5 semi-trailers, and it's like, not every
big buses.
Yeah, not everybody gets that luxury.
No.
So it's like, we're just trying to shine a light on what it's like really like, how you have to manage and juggle these things.
I think people have a very odd mindset, but it's just going to be like, how Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, you go straight
5
to
semi-trucks, planes.
Yeah, straight to your own coach and everything.
Buses and trucks. It's not like that, especially in the local scene.
Did you see the truck for Thy Art?
No. Oh, yes, I did.
So there was obviously like 4 bands on that tour, the one in January, and 3 of them were internationals, but we pretty much fit everything into there, like everyone's gear. Everyone flew, truck drove, so they pretty much like, you didn't have to check in anything unless you had a suitcase, but most of our suitcases went on the truck as well. But I was watching and I was like, holy shit, like there's so much going in here, like all the lighting and whatever they needed as well as all the gear. And it literally wouldn't have gone as smooth if they didn't have this guy called Fishy. He's a production manager. That was nuts. I was watching him, like, as I was helping bringing stuff up to the truck, he just had it all under control. Otherwise, like, to pack it as well, because it was right up to the end. If you don't pack it right, like all the merch was in there too. If you don't pack it right, it's fucked. You're not going to fit everything.
and it can move
But
around, things can break, and like it's Tetris in there.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There was even a bike on there because their merch guy, Jed, his brother is Ben from Parkway. So he's obviously doing their merch, but then he found this bike in Brisbane somewhere, and he would chuck it on the truck and then fly to wherever. But then every show he would just get out and ride it around, and it was fucking so funny.
That's
So,
hilarious.
yeah, like literally everything went on there besides like your carry-on bag, which was so
you don't want to. It's convenient, but you don't want that bus to catch fire. Not that it would, but you know what I mean. Like, Thornhill just lost all their stuff, so
That
to
was
a fire.
Yeah.
So that's insane.
Yeah,
Can't
well,
happen.
There's this lighting company called Resolution X in Melbourne that just caught fire as well. So they
Wow.
lost a lot of gear from all the soot and the fire damage and stuff, which sucks.
Yeah,
But-
Yeah, definitely can happen.
That's 100% rough.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when you guys are all crammed on a bus and traveling around the country, how do you keep yourself A, sane, and then B, like healthy? Like obviously you've got to adapt to a pretty strict kind of like touring schedule and say, like you said, early morning flights and drives between venues and whatever you can pick up for food along the way and all of this kind of stuff. Like, how do you keep your healthy habits throughout tour?
It's hard because a lot of tours is just driving for me, and then some tours I'll be flying everywhere. If I'm flying, Virgin Lounge, excellent because they got food and it's free.
It's great food too.
Yeah.
It's great to have a good bite before you fly.
Absolutely. Sometimes I'll have access to riders, sometimes I won't. It really changes. Like, you've just gotta, if you're driving, you have to know where all the stops are. You have to stop it. Shout out to Coolabah Tree Cafe. Nick's gonna hate me for that, but it's fine. Paul's gonna love me for that. You've just got to make sure that it's not McDonald's every morning because you're going to feel really trash. Like, you can go into service stations where you got McDonald's and KFC and a cafe, and you just got to like force yourself to get a salad or something, or even like a toasty rather than a burger, a Big
You'll
Mac.
just feel like shit every day if you're just doing that morning, breakfast, dinner.
Yeah, because it all adds up, and then everybody gets all irritated, and then you're tired, and your performance is like lackluster.
The way I see it, if I was to tour with both Jordan and Cam, we would probably be awesome for the first day or two.
It's like,
and then we would want to kill each other. We would want to rip each other's throats out just by something someone says or just anything.
I'm sure,
I'm sure, like, if I even bumped you, like, fuck you. Fuck you.
It's like normally the most chilled person.
Like, it would just be good to see how you would, like, deal with that, I guess.
Yeah. Do people have, like, obviously there's arguments and stuff and people get shitty, but, things happen. You clear them up.
I think if someone tells you to shut the fuck up or fuck off, you just got to listen and be like, oh, they'll get over it. But I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, it's obviously causing them some distress.
But
it's really,
Sorry.
You go.
That's good that you're just like, you're trying to maintain healthy habits as well. Like on a van, if you're doing like 12-hour drive, you're not just having matches every day, and you're trying to ensure everyone follows that as well, because that will keep everyone happy, healthy, and more motivated to play. Because I could just imagine that, like, if you're just having shitty food all day, you just don't want to play. You're not going to give it 100%. So it's really good to see that you're trying to keep that strict habit of making people eat. Do you
find people are like, when they are down and stuff, is that part of your job to kind of like go, come on guys, like, we can do this, like, I don't know, like keeping up morale and sort of that kind of thing as well, motivation. Like, do you do any of that kind of stuff, or is that you find yourself doing it?
Yeah, it's no one's real job to do that, but if you care about the people you're touring with, you're going to want to do it, which obviously I've cared about everyone I've toured with. but I always make myself available to these people, saying like, if you feel like you can't talk to anyone on the tour about like if something's going on, then like I want to make myself available for you. Which obviously they have reached out and stuff like that, because I don't know, maybe they feel different talking to someone that isn't in like directly in their band. Maybe even if it's because I'm a female or something, they might view it differently, as in like, oh, like I might be a little bit softer and more understanding. I don't know, but
It might just be a comfort thing.
Yeah,
might just be a comfort thing, and exactly right. You hit it. Just not being in the band, but
yeah,
somewhere being familiar in that area, like maybe you might understand what's going on with them. Like even if you don't, just support and listen. That's really good to see. So
yeah, and definitely checking in with everyone, especially if you see them not okay, checking in with them away from people and not in front of people is a
checking in with your homies.
Well.
Check in with your homies.
But like,
that's
don't do it in front of do it in front of everyone. I've had people do that to me.
Bring up the issue. It's in front of people. It's like, oh yeah, how's this going? And it's like, whoa, no, not everybody needed to know that that was going on. Thanks.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's just like, are you okay? Are you good? It's like, thank you for asking, but like, I'm not gonna be like, no, this shit's happening, and like everyone's listening to all that. Like, oh my god. But yeah, like you've just gotta make sure the homies are looked after.
Because something so little as that can just impact the whole tour. Like just one little emotional breakdown could probably impact everyone. Like, so yeah, it's really good to see you're inside of that, because that's helpful for when we tour or when we play shows. Like just making sure everyone is keeping a healthy habit, because I would probably want to eat Maccas every fucking day because I'm a fat shit. But if I had Jordan saying no, like don't do that, we got to keep healthy salads or whatever.
Yeah, Zach, you're getting fat. Come on.
Exactly. And I would listen to that too, because believe me. No, it's 100% that would help us and
ask
sure
for
anyone
fruit
else
on the riders.
Mm-hmm. That's what I had on my rider. I had fucking blueberries on mine. I was like, I wanted blueberries, and then I had. Oh well, I did have a bar of chocolate on there as well. I'm not gonna lie, but
you always have bar of chocolate.
Yeah. It's moderation, man. Balance. See,
what was that?
Freddo Frog. That was a
Freddo. Yep.
Okay, now I really want a Freddo.
Yeah.
And okay, stop. Stop. My weakness is chocolate. One thing I wanted to just like see if you had, going off the back of that, like the fact that these tours are going well, like how do you make sure it's successful from a band point of view? Like what sort of bands do you see stand out as easy to manage bands? You know what I mean? Like as a tour manager, you might have a band that has like really organized qualities, and you're like, oh, these guys are onto it. They know what they want. They know they're giving me direction, as opposed to some bands that might just be a little bit like whatever, like we don't really know or don't really care or have lack of communication. What are some like qualities that stand out as successful touring qualities?
Yeah, I don't think being naive or say if there was a band that are like, we don't really know what to ask for or what to do, I don't think that's saying that it's an unsuccessful tour. I don't know, like it helps to see that everybody pitches in and the vocalist doesn't just run off and not help with lighting.
Thank you. Now I'll pay you for the money for saying that afterwards. But yeah, that's wow. That's exactly what we needed.
Zach?
I help out. Just
I'm sure you do.
Moral support.
That's great.
No,
Sorry, keep going.
If everyone has a role, whether it's merch or I don't know, something, like everyone's going to help out the drummer, please. They need help.
100%.
But if everyone's got a role and something to organize, that makes it a lot smoother. Just because things get done quicker and everyone's kind of like, cool, I got to do my role, and they're going to be conscious of the time and where they need to be and stuff, rather than being like, I don't have anything to do. I'm going to run up and get a beer. I don't have to be at sound check till 4:30 or whatever. It's like, Nah, help
Mm-hmm.
carry stuff, help set up merch, network, help the headliner load in and out as well. That was a big thing that the Gloom in the Corner were really good at. So for Fit for an Autopsy, they were like helping them load in and out, and they didn't have to, but it just helps everyone. It helps the tour go smoother. And these boys are traveling from America. They're tired, they're jet lagged. So it's very kind of them. And, they've all got their roles and things like that, whether it's setting up or doing merch and things like that. They're very, very good at it. They are doing so well and they're hustling and they're just very professional and switched on with that sort of stuff. That makes it successful for sure. People that just run off and want to go, I don't know, like sure, you can drink and stuff, but like do your job first.
Just have a beer and then help. Like
Have a beer and then help.
Like, or have a beer in one hand.
So we know where Zach will be when everyone else is helping. Zach's first having his beer. That's beautiful. I really.
Nah.
That's amazing. No, that's great. That reflects a lot of the things that we've seen in just playing local shows even and stuff like this. You just see guys that are actually conscious about being there and wanting to make sure everything and everyone is having a good time, not just themselves or their small group. So that's wicked. One last question before we wrap it up for you, because as I said, I can talk about all this stuff for ages. It's really interesting. More so like taking yourself outside of the music industry, like what's kind of something if you weren't doing music or anything like that, what would you kind of do? Where would you find yourself spending most of your time?
I had a really good job at the gym I worked at, which is Good Life, just doing sales and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. I don't really know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing music, just because like I haven't really thought about it, and I kind of just followed this direction for many years since I was in high school, just wanting to do this sort of stuff and kind of just winging it and learning myself. But yeah, I don't know, probably working at the gym and working my way up there, which I got to sales manager before I left.
Nice.
It was
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, wicked. It's like, obviously it's just like a kind of thing to say what kind of thing, what else you be doing and what other interests you have. But then a lot of people like me, I'm love my music, and it's kind of like, I don't really see myself doing anything else. I'd be doing music anyway if I wasn't like involved in it for a job. So it's kind of just like music.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, good.
There is a question I wanted to ask, but it's still processing in my mind. I don't know about Jordan, but I like to see how everything in the metal scene or any music scene just like pile together and work. Whether that just be merch, the music itself, lighting, or whatever, touring, managing. I like to see that all of that is working together.
Like it's like teamwork. Like basically everyone chipping in.
The reason for this podcast is trying to make sure that people are aware that it's not just the music. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I just want people to be more aware of that everything you do or anyone else does is extremely important to the music, to making it progress and work just flawlessly.
Yeah.
So hard to ask that. Really,
it's not. I suppose. Yeah, it's more kind of it's more sort of a statement. It's more like just like the seeing everybody pitch in behind the scenes to put together what you actually get to see as a pundit when you come in and buy a ticket and you see the show at face value. Everyone just come in, have a drink, see this wicked show, and go home. It's like guys have been working for days, weeks, months on making that happen. So yeah, that's why we bring people like you on, Mel, so you can have all this perspective and it's super interesting for me, and I'm sure it'll be super interesting for other people. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on and taking time out of your day to come and chat to us too, silly little mugs. But yeah.
Not me, mate.
Thank you for having me.
I'm not silly. That's all good.
Pleasure. Cool. So yeah, we'll catch up soon, and thanks.
I'll see you at certain shows, I'm sure, in the future. So we'll keep in touch
on them lights.
And lights.
Cool. All right. Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.
Something to scream about.
So, if you enjoyed today's episode, please don't be afraid to go over and rate the show either on Spotify, iTunes, anything like that. Any review coming our way is super helpful. Even if you just want to hit us up on socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Hit us up and we'd love to chat. We'd love to take on board your feedback and provide some of the content that you guys want to see. So thanks again for listening. This is Something to Scream About. Hopefully we'll be back together with one of my band members. I feel a little bit solo on this trip at the moment, but we'll be back with one of them soon. Yeah. See you guys again soon. Thanks for listening.